In this video, we will be talking about evolution and different types of selection. First, let's look at Charles Darwin's finches from the Galapagos Islands. Each of these finches has a different phenotype or physical attribute. In this case, we're looking at beak size. Our first finch has a thick beak for scooping up many seeds at a time. The second finch has a skinny pointy beak for eating insects. The last finch has a sharp beak for tearing into fruit. These finches demonstrate directional selection. When a force in nature, such as food and environment, causes a population to evolve toward one trait over the other. Now let's look at some peppered moths. There's a gene mutation that caused some moths to be all black. These moths were easily spotted by predators and were usually the first to be caught. The peppered moths without the gene were able to blend in with the white and black trees and weren't caught as often. Therefore, they were the fittest to survive. When the Industrial Revolution hit, the smog from the factories made the trees turn black. This is when the tide turned for the moths. The mutated gene became more popular and the white and black moths started to die off. Those who had the mutated gene then became the fittest to survive. These moths are another example of directional selection where one trait is favored over another. Our next example are some giraffes. These giraffes were each born with different heights. The first issue posed here is the second giraffe, who represents the portion of the population that is too short to reach the food source, or the leaves in this case. The tallest giraffe represents the portion of the population that was born too large, and the mother giraffes most likely don't survive the childbirth. The medium giraffe represents a perfect medium where the giraffe can be birthed properly and be tall enough to reach the leaves. These giraffes demonstrate stabilizing selection, when the average population is preferred over an extreme in either direction. The extremes here are too short and too tall. Medium height is the preferred average. These clams are an example of disruptive selection. Disruptive selection is when an extreme in either direction is preferred. The lighter clam can blend in with the rocks below. The darker clam can blend in with the shadows underneath rocks. The middle clam is too dark for the stones and too light to blend in with the shadows. Therefore, the extreme in either direction is preferred. Another example of selection is sexual selection. This is when one sex prefers to mate with the opposite sex. This generally results in competition between members of the same sex for a member of the opposite sex. A more specific type of sexual selection is directional sexual selection. This is when species evolve to become more attractive to the opposite sex and to intimidate same-sex rivals. Male peacocks use their feathers to impress female peacocks and participate in competition with other male peacocks. A more modern type of selection is artificial selection. This is when we encourage the selection of some traits over others. We tend to do this for horses to try to breed the fastest, strongest horses.